It is the year 1047 in W. The world is dominated by three mighty nations: the Grand Vampiric Empire, the Protectorate of the Vatican, and the Kingdom of Khan. Magic has merged in this world with technology to create a new field of science called Magitech, and the world is filled with endless possibilities, as so long as one can stay alive to enjoy them. Lucas Kane is an ex-IPD detective turned freelancer who received a job from the Crown Prince of the Empire. The job: find out who killed the prince's mentor and why. Joined by one of the best and most colorful groups of rogues from the Clear Isles to the city of Rust, Lucas will journey across the Empire and beyond, finding out secrets and conspiracies that will threaten the very foundation of the Empire. Welcome to the New World, and in the New World, anything is possible. From outstanding author Greg Hayes comes New World, now available on Amazon and wherever books may be sold.
This is Nerdcore Absolution. Come to peace with your inner nerd, and after you can stay gold like T.O.M. Chilling out the galaxy, and we know him. Putting tunes up that'll keep you up. Glued to the screen like you do too much. The galaxy is ours, the sun and the stars. Tsunamis on and chilling hard. Watching closely from a perch among the stars as viewers await the moment when the spirit bomb can charge. Hito Yui self-detonates. Yu Hakusho replicates and spits in the spirit world while they're just...
Hey there, my new generation, and welcome to a brand new episode of Tom's Prerogative. This is episode 5. And on this episode, we look at the Christmas classic, A Nightmare Before Christmas by Tim Burton. All that and more on this very, very happy holiday edition of Tom's Prerogative. And yes, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus. Again, kiss my ass, kiss my ass, kiss my ass, kiss my ass, kiss his ass, kiss your ass. Happy Hanukkah. Once again, kiss my ass. Because it never gets old. It never gets old. But yes, we are celebrating the holidays with The Nightmare Before Christmas, and possibly one other review before the year is up. But as you can see, I'm trying something new. I've ditched the Jay Leno standing up monologue segment, and I've decided to go more the Jon Stewart monologue segment. Starting off, hopefully that will be easier on lighting and on you, the audience. So you won't have to see me jiggle around and go like this. Because we're always trying to improve here at the Absolution Network. So let's see, what have I missed? Well, I think the big thing was the unfortunate passing of Stan Lee. Which I already put a video out talking about my thoughts on that and my thoughts on his legacy, which I hope you watched. Everybody, though, I think was heartbroken by his loss. Everybody but Bill Maher, who I guess decided it was really a good time to try his newest weed of inserting foot into mouth. As he wrote an opinion piece after Stan Lee's death, basically decrying comic book fandom as one of the reasons we've ended up with Donald Trump. Now, mind you, this is just an opinion, and I would be lying if I said I didn't see the point he was making, but there's a couple things. One, I would suggest Mr. Maher read up on what Stan Lee has done for the comic book industry in regards to going against the Comic Book Code Authority and how his creations have contributed to the soft power that has influenced countries based on United States pop culture and how that has grown United States power. Two, you do realize that most comic book fans are Democrats, right? Who did vote for Hillary and do go out and vote. Mr. Marr, you do realize that, right? And do environmental things, and I'm just wondering. But don't worry, if you missed out on this outrage, Bill Maher has you covered, because starting off the next year, he's going to have a new opinion piece where he is going to blame Lego builders for the upcoming new housing bust that's going to happen. But let's see what else. Of course, it's the December time of year, so that means some big pop culture movies usually come out, and trailers as well. We had the Avenger trailer, the sequel to Infinity War, called Endgame's come out, and everybody was like, oh, it's an epic trailer, it's amazing, I can't wait to see Avengers Endgame. To which Godzilla King of the Monsters said, hold my beer. Yeah, I'm sorry, comic book fans, but this is going to be the year of Godzilla. Sorry / nut sorry, fight me. Lastly, we have a bunch of comic book movies, of course, that have come out. We've had a Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Aquaman, Transformers spin-off Bumblebee, starring John Cena, so of course you know it's good. And the sequel to Mary Poppins that no one asked for, but everybody's getting, Mary Poppins Returns. Just throw in G.I. Joe there and you have a Michael Bay's 1980 Christmas. A little throw-out joke there for a friend of the show. But of course, speaking of movies and my friends, that brings us to today's topic, this movie, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Oh wait, you were expecting there to be an image of Nightmare Before Christmas and not a word that says Disney sucks? Well, maybe if Disney wasn't a corporate shell of itself and a corporate sellout and an all-consuming monster that refuses to even work with the smallest fans and allowing them to possibly use still image even, and wasn't so, had their legal department gunning after everybody, I wouldn't be putting this up. But as it is, I can't use any footage of Disney if I don't want to get any strikes. So this will have to do. But The Nightmare Before Christmas follows a young skeleton of Halloween Town named Jack Skellington. He's the best scarer in all of Halloween Town, but unfortunately Jack is just tired of Halloween and really wants to quit it. You know, something we hope Donald Trump does of the presidency. Get tired of it and quit it. But, unlike Donald Trump, though, we want Jack Skellington to stay. But as he goes through the woods, he comes across a wide range of colorful doors. And he opens one that's shaped like a Christmas tree, and he ends up falling into a white powdery substance. Or as Courtney Love calls it, her dream come true. Jack has ended up in Christmas Town, run by the big man himself, Sandy Claus, as Jack Skellington puts it, which sounds like the title of the next Futurama Christmas special, where Dr. Zoidberg takes over the role of of course, Jack brings, after stealing them Grinch style, trinkets and trinkets of Christmas Town back to Halloween Town, and he convinces his cult following to do Christmas. Now, while mad scientist Jack Skellington and the town are stealing Christmas, fa la 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 la, Sally, a creation of one of the evil mad scientists in town, has visions that this is not going to go so well for Jack, and is trying to warn him and the town folks, but no one's listening. Her last-ditch effort is to create a fog that seemingly works, but thanks to Zero and his bright, shiny nose, he's able to guide Jack's sleigh tonight. And off he goes like a team full of thistle. And the team whistled back. Reference to something else. Anyways, of course, in the process of this, they also steal Santa Claus himself, who Jack gives this task to a bunch of goons of his arch nemesis Oogie Boogie, who promise not to take him to Oogie Boogie, but of course they're lying and take him to Oogie Boogie. Jack goes on his run and basically delivers an Alice Cooper Christmas, complete with dolls that drive kids batty, candy canes that strangle people, and a grandma that got killed by a reef deer. This, of course, causes the whole world to panic and the army to shoot Jack down. Upon being shot down, Jack realizes the error of his ways and realizes just how important being a part of Halloween Town is and how important Santa Claus is to Christmas. He heads back to Halloween Town where he goes to Oogie Boogie, who is both now toying with Santa Claus and Sally, and defeats him quite quickly, saving Santa Claus. This allows Santa Claus to go out into the world and fix all the mistakes that Jack made. But he gives one last gift to Jack as he lets it snow, let it snows in Halloween Town. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into my review of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Take me away, Luxor! Thank you, Luxor, for playing me in. It's amazing how you can get super space villains at half price 30 years later. But anyways, him playing me in is a perfect segue for talking about music. And really, I would think that music is one of the most memorable parts of Nightmare Before Christmas. Of course, it's Danny Elfman, so your mileage may vary depending on whether you like Danny Elfman or not. Me personally, I like him enough. I like him here and I like him in Batman. Others, and that's probably more to do with the movie. And certainly I think that is something that happens with some movies, is that, you'll have a composer who his better work is basically more the movies that are more popular. This is not one of those cases. These movies, these songs have stood the test of time, and with good reason. They are very good songs. This Is Halloween, What's This, the Oogie Boogie song, all of these have just amazing melodies to them that just stick in your head. And one of the reasons is a very poematic aspect of it. For those who don't know, The Nightmare Before Christmas is based off a poem that Tim Burton wrote. And then, of course, they made a movie out of it. As such, the whole story reads like a poem. And the songs are very indicative of that in the very way that the rhythm of the songs really captures that poem, sort of stanza type of solid read form in the songs. And that really comes out with them. Again, catchy tunes, wonderful wordplay. When you think, for instance, what's this? What's this? There's snowflakes everywhere. What's this? What's this? And I can't remember the words. I really should, when I start quoting songs, have the lyrics near me. But wires, Anyways, but you just have to take my word on it. I'm sure all of you can hum the lyrics by memory. And I think that just goes to it. Again, all the lyrics, the word plays within the songs are perfectly done. And again, they really capture the spiritual feel of the holidays, which is really what they're trying to go with here. And it works very, very well. Melody, really there isn't a bad song in the bunch. And also I like how really, again, the sort of, not industrial, but the instrumental music that's used throughout the movie, for the most part, is again the reconstituting of these songs in certain situations. Whether it be Sally's song, whether it be, and you hear that before her song, mind you, but like Sally's tune really goes into and is used for her song, later on in the movie. When Jack's trying to figure out what does Christmas mean, they use the melody from the song where he's introducing Christmas to the masses. They also use, of course, This Is Halloween throughout the movie in instrumental parts. And so the reconstituting of those really good songs and using the instrumentals as sort of the mood music and such really gives the movie an entire harmony that works really, really well together. And so it creates an atmosphere where the music really enhances the story being told. It creates a wonderful atmosphere that really matches sort of the twisted mind of Tim Burton in a way, and the twisted world that he creates here. You know, this is... I was thinking about not getting into the story, but, you know, again, I would say this is sort of the peak Tim Burton, and, like, everything about this movie is that Tim Burton style, that very macabre horror, in a fun way type of feel, something that feels like it jumps right out of Edgar Allan Poe's poems in a way, in that classic macabre type of way. And so the music perfectly captures that feel and captures the atmosphere of that style, and it really allows the music to lend itself to enhancing the story and the animation being told on screen. Speaking of animation, let's get in to the wonderful animation of The Nightmare Before Christmas. Moving on to animation, we get to talk more about my favorite subjects to talk about whenever I get to talk about animation, and that is the different styles of animation. And of course, obviously, we're talking about stop motion. Now, I may have mentioned it in passing in a different episode about, you know, the idea of the animation categorization theory that I've come up with. Not really a theory, but more of basically explaining how we categorize different animation. You know, we have stop motion, live action, traditional hand drawn, and modern CGI. And especially these days, one of the things that doesn't really get talked about, even though there's so many classic cartoons we have that use stop motion, from Rankin Bass cartoons to this, to Gumby, to Wallace and Gromit, to even big movies that have come out recently, like Kubo of the Two Strings, which I do believe the studio that made that movie also made Paranorman and I believe Coraline, and I believe they spun out of the studios that was created to do Nightmare Before Christmas. Please don't quote me, that is absolutely correct. But if I remember right, it's like they made this and then Corpse Bride, and then out of that, the studio spun, because I think Disney let it go or something like that. But anyways, so we get to talk about stop motion animation, which is, when done right, amazing. And one of the things that makes stop motion animation so amazing is that, you know, when you really look at the three different disciplines of animation, each one specializes in a different sort of art form that it's trying to portray. You know, with hand-drawn animation, it's how the animation is tied directly to the story. So it's the art of the story within the animation. With CGI, it's the art of realism. It's like fooling the brain that something's there when it's not there. With stop motion, it's the art of movement. And depending on how smooth you make the animation, can really change how the movement of characters and the backgrounds are. Because again, remember with stop motion, in particular with Nightmare Before Christmas, we're talking about dolls, and we're talking about everything in the shot for the most part is a physical thing, from the houses to the backgrounds being painted, and they're not like animation that's put in afterwards. Though with Nightmare Before Christmas, we obviously see some of that. You know, for instance, the CG ghost you see at the beginning. But everything is there. with that being said, the animation here is absolutely gorgeous, and it tied directly to the smoothness of the movement. Just absolutely works of art watching this movie. I mean, if nothing else, watching this movie is just to watch the beauty and the craftsmanship of how they move the character. And they're still just a tad bit jerky. And then to watch that, I mean, obviously, and then watch Kubo of the Two Strings to see how far that artistry and that craft has come with those type of animators. It's amazing, but it is an absolute thing of beauty to watch. The faces, all the different faces that he created, for Jack Skellington and for the characters, are amazing. And even more amazing is how they create an expansive form of expression for all the characters to feel. And really, when you look at it, you can obviously see the list that they have, but they do a great job in creating those faces to where every expression that the character feels, you can understand and see it and make sense of it. The backgrounds and the actual model work is beautiful and gorgeous. I love the color scheme also within the animation. Again, capturing the mood and the atmosphere of that sort of Tim Burton style perfectly to a T. Again, like music, the animation all works well within this movie, in sort of the movements that they have the characters make as well. Movements can be short and to the point and sudden. You watch Jack Skellington, he's never just going like this, and I don't know. It's every movement he'll make is very defined and very regal, which is matching his character, whereas you have sort of more soft movement within Sally. Oogie Boogie, for an example, is very wild in his movements. And again, matching the movement of the characters to the characters. Again, that didn't sound right. I just thought of it. Having the characters move in such a way that matches their personalities is what I wanted to say. Really just adds to the story and adds to the audience being able to understand and connect with these characters. And I think is one of the core reasons that gets overlooked to why, so many people connect with this movie. Yes, there's the music and the story is fun and everything, but again, though here within the animation, we see the very technical aspect of them doing things with these characters, with these models, in very painstaking ways of piece by piece by piece to give character to the characters, to give personality to the characters. And without it, this movie just doesn't work. And it is just a masterclass in how to do stop motion within this movie. So the animation is absolutely spectacular. And speaking of things that are spectacular, let's move on to story. And let's finish off with story and, again, the fantastic story that is The Nightmare Before Christmas. First of all, again, it's Tim Burton sort of macabre style, and so it could be hit or take if you like it, but if you love sort of and I made mention of it before, the Edgar Allan Poe sort of macabre, almost family fun, gothic style that is Tim Burton, then there's no reason you don't love this film. Again, in a way, it's not just the subversion of Christmas, but also in a way the subversion of Halloween and looking at classic Halloween in that sort of gothic, macabre style in a way. That's just wonderful. Another thing I love about this film is the different ways it can be read. Certainly there's the way it can be read as sort of a look at the over-consumerism of Christmas and how a lot of focus is on the getting of presents instead of, I almost said the art, but the act of giving to give, and how that can transcend holidays and everything. And so the tie-ness to myths and how myths can change and evolve, while also the act of not letting myths change and evolve. Certainly there's a reading there for that. But I think my preferred reading is looking at it, touching on the themes of sort of holiday depression, and also being who you are. In return to the holiday depression reading, that's, again, when the holidays come, we get so excited, but as it gets closer to the actual holiday, we form depression, as we realize time is passing us by. And so once the holiday passes, there's that time to where, like, oh my God, it's past, where did the time went? And there's sort of a depression there, and one can sort of see Jack Skellington going through that, and his arc in that sense was to take over another holiday, to overcome that depression, which is told in the form of boredom. Again, he's gotten tired of it happening every year and year, nothing ever changing, and there's some type of depression that could be. It's not like they're saying that it's depression, but it's a certain reading that one can have with it. And so obviously trying to do the hijacking of a new holiday to overcome that sort of holiday depression, instead of just celebrating what we did the holiday, and also, more importantly, the importance in creating these new memories have to us overcoming that sort of holiday depression in a way. So that's one reading that I think works here as well. And then the other is, again, being who you are. And it seems very simple, and we see it in so many family animated films and kids animated films. But again, it's a theme that works, and it's a theme that's important to this day and will always be important in people knowing that, you don't have to change who you are. You don't have to be that ooh shiny thing over there. Again, Jack has become bored with who he is and thinks he has to do something new. And he falls upon this new shiny world of Christmas Town and Santa Claus, and becomes so consumed with it that he tries to take it over. But that's not who Jack is. And of course, along this movie, him discovering who he is an essential part of the movie. And that scene in particular, in the graveyard, sort of the Christ imagery there where he's on the cross, certainly helps there as well. But again, in that song, and realizing who you are, that I tried to be something else and I thought I did good, but that's not who I am. This is who I am. And that sort of realization, so many people can connect with that as well. And I think, again, it's one of another core reason that this movie hits a chord with so many people, and so many people connect with it. And so discovering that, again, that's another reading, and there's so many different readings. But more importantly, I think one of the reasons that just the main core story ultimately works is because it's fun, and the characters are so connectable, and Jack Skellington is that sort of competitive aspect I think all of us have, that sort of driven aspect that we connect with. Sally is that more nurturing aspect in all of us, and so the different characters can be seen in that way. But again, also, just the story is fun, and you combine that with the music and the animation that creates that sort of gothic, macabre, Tim Burton style, makes it work so well. But another story aspect that I think everybody overlooks, that I think makes it work so well, is Sally's story. Because Sally's story is essentially the hero's journey in its own way. It's the prince getting the princess, except that the prince here is Sally and the princess is Jack Skellington, if you think about it for a second. And I say that in the sense of, Sally trying to find herself, trying to move out on her own. She continuously escapes her own imprisonment. Ultimately, she's trying to save Jack from what she sees as him possibly destroying himself. She helps him in certain ways. Helps by like trying to save Santa Claus from Oogie Boogie and other things like that. Essentially, when you look at her story and her arc over the process of the movie, it is that sort of classic hero's journey of the prince going on the journey and in the end getting the princess at the end. In this case, it's Jack's feelings. And that's what I think makes that relationship work so well. And I don't think people realize that's what makes it work so well, is that it's the I'm trying to think of the word, but the switching around of sort of the norms of who's the prince and who's the princess of that sort of classic prince-princess story, and playing it well within this story. Overall, the story is amazing no matter how you look at it. You look on it just for its story content and the fun and sort of the macabre, twisted look at the holidays that it is, it works. And then you can also find deeper meanings if you go and look forward to it and really read through it. You add in animation, and that is just absolutely spectacular with a wonderful color scheme and matches the atmosphere and mood of the style of the story, along with music that captures the spirit of that atmosphere and mood to a T and gives it life and words and the melody. It all combines for an amazing movie that has become a holiday classic. It's not a cult classic, it's a holiday classic. And it will stand the test of time as one of the best movies in Disney's library of all times, in my mind. And there's a reason it has such a wonderful fan base. Art style, it just pops and is spectacular. The music is spectacular. So at the end of the day, I give The Nightmare Before Christmas a 5 out of 5. It is a must-have, must-watch movie, especially during the holiday season. It is a mastercraft in doing stop-motion animation that any animation fan should watch. And I don't know what more I can say about it. It is just a joy. Go out and watch it, whichever way you do. Whether you buy the DVD and Blu-ray, or watch it on Netflix, or watch it on Disney's upcoming streaming services. They slowly take over the world because Disney sucks. Whichever way you do, watch it. So that is it for this episode of Tom's Prerogative. I hope you enjoyed my review of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. But the holiday season isn't over quite yet. And if I can, I hopefully will get it out before the new year. But I do want to do one more thing holiday related. And what I want to do is, well, I want to go back to something that every Toonami fan can remember. And that was in the early days of Toonami, in the early days of Cartoon Network, where the holidays were filled with a variety of holiday cartoons. Not the constant Gumball and Teen Titans Go marathon that we see now, which is absolutely boring and makes no reason for you to want to watch the network. Instead, I want to go to one of those cartoons that we watched. In this case, it was an hour-and-a-half long special, though with commercial it'd be 2 hours, that showed regularly during these seasons of Cartoon Network that I remember fondly. It's time to head to the Hanna-Barbera Animation Studio. Because next time out, well, time to celebrate Yogi Bear's first Christmas. Till next time, my Toonami generation, I want you to remember to always, always stay golden.
Well, that about does her. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Tom, signing off. And until we meet again, you know the rest.